Hi, I was reading an interesting piece by Arthur Marshall, who wrote this The Principles of Economics, and it basically states in there that any human motive can be measured economically. So if you could find out what motivates you or a person, yeah, you can find out how much that motivation costs and actually get to buy that motivation. So in some experiments, for example, they asked someone who smokes, and a number of smokers. So they would offer them $2 to stop smoking for a day, and obviously, that wasn't a big enough incentive. So they would walk away, leave it, and get to smoke again. Now, some people were offered $2,000 to actually smoking for the day, and then the thinking started. Can they not smoke for a day for $2,000? Well, that sort of made sense, and people, a high percentage of that, took up the offer and took $2,000 in order not to smoke for a day. So, something that is motivates them. You can get it to actually monetize it, and in monetary form, you actually get to measure that economically in that sense. And some people were offered $20,000 to actually stop smoking for a week, and you know most of those took up actually the offer to stop smoking for a week for $20,000. Yeah. So what does that demonstrate? If you can communicate someone in terms of their values and show what it is that you're doing in monetary terms, there's actually a price for any specific thing that people are doing that is motivating them, and you can measure that economically. So the experiment went on to look at kids, for example. So one lady was was asked about her kids. So the guy said, "I can actually buy your kids," and she said, "No, that even think of that. That's quite sick to have a thought like that." So the experiment went in the sense that the lady, for her, she was quite a spiritual person. So all things to do with the spiritual and understanding God and the Bible and all of that was quite important to her. So for these guys, the experiment was if they could communicate something in the values that are important to her, they could actually get to buy the kids in a way. So they said to her, if we offer you $2,000, yeah, to take your kids for a week, yeah, and then we get to teach them the values about God and things that are important out there about faith and belief and things that are really important to you. We take them out for a camp, for a week for $2,000. Would you give them up? And the lady said, I thought about it and said, yeah, I probably could, yeah, because these guys were communicating in terms of the values that are important to her. And the more you communicate that to the person, you find an economic value. And they went on to say, okay, if we give you $50,000 and actually take the kids for a week and teach them, to a camp or a boot camp and teach them about God and belief and get them to integrate with other kids, would you give them up? And again, the answer is yes. And then when it went beyond there to actually take the kids for a whole year, yeah, for you to actually get to teach them all of that. And she said, well, you might as well take all three of my kids, yeah, because now the people are communicating in terms of the values that are important to her. You find that the more you know the values of a person and the more that you can communicate what motivates them in a way that links with their values, you can actually put an economic value on the motive and the things that are important to them. So if if the why is big enough and it aligns with your values, you can almost get people to do anything. And this has been tested with some relationships. For example, people asking to take care of somebody else's partner for a day or something for money. But if they are communicating that in terms of his or her value, this has been proven to be done. So it was quite a fascinating article about how any human motive can actually be measured economically. So I thought that was quite a good food for thought to see where the limits are, where things are, things that we think are actually, they are not monetary in the sense of like a physical product or a service, but these are things that are within us, like a motive or particular passion or something that we are passionate about and we like. How can you actually get? Is there a particular amount of money? Can you measure that economically? And it turns out that in certain situations, that is actually quite possible. So I thought that would be quite an interesting thought for the day, to actually think how you can actually, economically measure motives. So I hope you go out there, experience, learn, and grow. Until next time, cheerio.